everyone. Last December I watched the rest of the episodes of the 6th season of Ladybug available to date. If you haven't watched my reviews of the previous ones, you can watch them now. Spoiler alert to Vampigami, Mr. Agreste, The Dark Castle, Revelator, Wreckless Driver, Yaksi Gozen, Grandiaper, The Ruler, and Noe. The cartoon is now in favor of a dictatorship of an unelected guardian of the Miraculous, who silences the opposition with a threat of violence. But I am getting ahead of myself. Aside from that, will the season live up to the high expectations I keep having after the London special? Let's find out. I will comment on the episode order and its implications for the plot structure, as well as analyze the personality of the new Hawk Moth. That's Cartoon Scholar, consider like, comment and subscription. The Vampigami episode leans into messages about healthy relationships, like Alia's advice to Marinette. I would say that both horror movie watching and dancing in certain moments function as allusions to romance and even physical intimacy. Prem is literally introduced with singing and dancing, which was kinda sudden. Like, I was watching an episode and then bam, this begins. Anyway, the scene fulfills its purpose, so later Ladybug tells Prem to not pressure anybody to dance with him. Meanwhile, Tomoe's ally here basically already figured out who is Ladybug. More on that later. Then begins an episode that is sometimes tough to watch. My opinion is very clear that Ladybug made the wrong choice by lying to everybody about Gabriel having been a hero. Especially since Tomoe got away with what she had done and is a danger again. But you know what, I later decided I don't want to be angry at Ladybug. All of this is Gabriel's fault. This jerk who even after his change of heart kept acting irresponsibly and didn't tell Ladybug about the dangerous alliance he was a part of, and instead made Ladybug devastatingly lie to everybody. Marinette is trying her best. I hope the writers have a good reason for why exactly did Luca act the way he did here. But the point is, it terrified Marinette a lot. Also, I see Natalie gradually begins to act as a negative character. By the way, I liked the plot twist about who was gonna be the victim of akumatization. I really didn't see this coming. Also, I started to really dislike this guy. Remember his previous akumatization? If Vampigami truly does take place before the Dark Castle, then in the Dark Castle the Hawk Moth got an extra reason to think that Marinette is Ladybug. But maybe the Dark Castle in fact was supposed to be before it. And so that's it, two completely different interpretations of the plot depending on the episode order. It bothers me that I'm not sure which is it. A realization just came to me that this is on top of problems with, time travel. I'll one day make a video just about time travel in cartoons. Anyway, it will be kinda stupid if, after having basically uncovered Ladybug's secret identity, Tomoe and the Hawk Moth will just not use this information in any way. The only explanation I can offer is that Marinette isn't the first Hawk Moth's guess, and they just can't keep spying on every single person she suspects. I keep being surprised by how the episodes feel shorter than they actually are. Like, not many things happened in this episode, but somehow it was 20 minutes. I am trying to figure out if this means the episodes are boring, or on contrary, very interesting so that I lose track of time. Eventually I decided that it wasn't boring, just wasn't somehow impressive either. I wonder if Ladybug messing with time and then lying to Banix will have consequences. And dang it, I got a spoiler months ago that Alia would find out the truth in an episode called Revelator, so it didn't hit as hard as it should have. Well, at least I didn't know in advance that Alia wouldn't remember this. Anyway, it seems that not only that the Hawk Moth basically knows who is Ladybug, she also has evidence to use against her. I suppose not many people would believe the Hawk Moth being like, I did all of this because I wanted to expose Ladybug. I didn't mean anything bad in the first place. as the things done by the akumatized villains were very destructive and obviously weren't somehow a step towards revealing the truth. But still this could decrease the trust in Ladybug. We get an episode focused on the girl named Aglaé who was shown to be a bit anxious in Climatica. Marinette, meanwhile, doesn't take the opportunity to tell anybody the truth. So Adrian now talks to a therapist about his suspicions about his father, which is quite significant. I am really optimistic about the future of their society there. The kids stand up against bullies, unlike in my class where people would either join my bullies or say nothing. The kids here support each other and they get the help they need from a therapist. Yaksi Gozen is another episode I got a spoiler to. Even before Vampigami, I knew that we would see Lila negotiating with Tomoe and maybe even the Hawk Moth's new costume. I really like Kagami's and Felix's idea to hide the rings, and I think it will be a mistake if they keep everything as it is. Though the message of the episode was probably that they shouldn't entrust even someone like Ladybug a full control of their lives, and this message is the opposite of that of the Noe episode. Meanwhile, we meet Lila. Wrong footage. Here she is. As I established before, I don't trust Tomoe. And well, this episode didn't make it better. She tried to snatch from Kagami the ring for mind controlling.
Man, that's evil!
Later, Lila offers a plan to get Felix's ring instead. And Lila almost advertises her plan by how evil that plan is. How Kagami will think she reunites with Felix, but actually her Felix will be somewhat gone, and this will be our Felix.
Notre Félix.
And Tomoe agrees to follow the plan. Tomoe has everything to change, including the support of her daughter. But no. Speaking of Lila here, it seems that it makes her feel good to think that she's so great at manipulating people. Already in the previous seasons, she took pride in this and enjoyed how everybody falls for all of her lies. And she doesn't use the influence she has over people to lead them in doing something good, quite the opposite. In another video based on her treatment of Nuru, I assessed that she is really terrible, as she has nothing to get from acting like this. I didn't point out, but Nuru himself was amazing and brave and still taking opportunities to try affecting her, just like he used to do with Gabriel. Also, she hates Ladybug and Marinette and burns herself a lot with anger. After the London special, I pitied her over this, despite the fact that neither Ladybug nor Marinette deserve the hate. Aside from all I just listed, and aside from getting stuff she wants, she seems to have one more joy in life, and that one is not evil. Acting like this, it starts to get evil when she touches people without permission. Some fans now call that Tomoe's organization the Kingdom.
Cela reviendrait à trahir le royaume.
But I'm not sure that this is how it's called, so for now I will call it after the Project Perfect World, the PPW, an episode focused on Zoe with some flashbacks. The events of the episode are clearly supposed to take place before the sleeping siren, so either that's it, I watch the episodes in their own order, or I should treat the whole episode as being a set of flashbacks. The episode conveys that Zoe's behavior here was wrong, as such bullying is not a form of justice, and I agree. Ladybug and Katnor did much better when they directly confronted him, and talked. Also, there is an idea here that her actions caused an akumatization leading to more violence, and the cartoon needs to be careful here not to convey a message that if you, like the Grandiaper, side with terrible people like the Hawk Moth, that will show those like Zoe that they shouldn't have stood up to you, show them. Especially since the distraction he brought was not a proportional response. It's just that a big difference between our reality and this cartoon is that in the cartoon it's almost impossible to resist akumatization. On the other hand, remember that the boy doesn't even know what was Zoe's motivation. From his perspective, it's even more clear that someone wronged him. And I guess it's an inspiring message that if you are kind to others, then maybe that will make them more kind too. Another Zoe's mistake is that she doesn't tell Ladybug that she was the culprit. She lies, just like she hopes to keep a secret from everybody what kind of a person she was back in New York. She could honestly tell her friends about her regrets from the past. They would forgive her, I am sure. But instead she keeps that a secret and Ray uses this to prevent her from standing up to him. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Benismeha. Then goes an episode about Nathaniel. The name of the episode and of the antagonist might be a reference to those who would like to make other people more straight. Neither of Nathaniel's parents are fully supportive of him, including his father, who blames the situation on Nathaniel. Also, it seems that Lila figured out that Nathaniel is a Capri kid. In the Revolution episode, she stole a computer from Gabriel and Tomoe. Plus, now she is allied with Tomoe. So I assume she also knows the secret identities of Rena Rouge, Carapace, King Monkey, Pegasus, Ruko, and Argos. And she could steal all of their Miraculous in one night as a spectral looter. And she knows who Viperion is, but he is hiding. And then Nathaniel and Mark reveal to each other their secret identities, and something tells me they won't inform Ladybug of this. Wow, this team gets itself into so much trouble as a result of miscommunications. And then the cartoon suddenly starts to be in favor of a totalitarian dictatorship or something. As we get to the episode called Noe, we see a political advertisement by Million where she demonstrates achievements of Miss Bustier's administration in running Paris. I could even consider voting for Miss Bustier, though I don't agree with the policy where everybody gets for free a bunch of territory right in the city for themselves to grow their own vegetables or something. I think that city land costs too much for that. Anyway, the video is watched by PPW, who for some reason see it as a threat, saying everything gets out of control. And I don't know why does PPW see this as a threat to them. But okay, let's say they used to have a mayor in Paris they liked. Now there is instead Miss Bustier. The advertisement was from her supporters. I suppose this is the logic here.
C'est comme si tout ce qu'on avait construit ensemble s'effondrait, comme si une force surpuissante reprenait à nouveau le contrôle.
If I could address Millian, I would tell her that it's going to be okay. She doesn't have reasons to be so paranoid. A movie is being prepared that portrays Ladybug and Cat Noir as villains, suggesting that they were allies of the monarch, and that the monarch was helping them manipulate everybody by keeping everybody in fear. And in this episode, Ladybug and Cat Noir by their actions will prove the opposite, right? Right? A dude gets akumatized into meme by the new Hawk Moth, who, if that movie was gonna be telling the truth, is probably an ally of Ladybug and Cat Noir too. This dude tries to attack Noe, who is responsible for the movie. By the way, he doesn't even have evidence that Noe is to blame for the misinformation in the movie. Noe hides, but Ladybug and Cat Noir find him and bring the meme right to him. As Noe rightly points, this makes them culprits. The dude tells Noe not to make the movie, and points out that Ladybug and Cat Noir now try to not fall from your chairs. Protect Noe from his, that is meme's, rage. This is such a hypocritical rhetoric typical for some very extreme political forces out there. In this episode, Ladybug and Cat Noir silenced a critic by a threat. And I remind you that Ladybug and the Cat Noir are not elected. No one voted for them. I know that's just such a trope. Superheroes, you know. The cartoon actually addressed this issue when the monarch stole all of the Miraculouses. All of the influence was concentrated in one hand, so one accident everything went haywire, and now all of this influence is in the hands of a terrible person. But the new message of the cartoon is, if there is some sort of a great leader whom you already support, never question your trust in them, even when they repress freedom of speech. And don't allow anybody to question this leader either. Why am I supposed to side with the stalker Ladybug and the harasser Cat Noir against Noe? Give me a single reason. His mother being a bad person isn't a reason, and neither is him being rich. Maybe I will write my own fanfic where Noe is a fine person who stands up against the Hawk Moth and eventually against the PPW, but also calls out Ladybug and the Cat Noir for their actions and rightfully distrusts them. Maybe they even eventually admit their mistake. Maybe they get replaced in their positions. It would be epic if this was exactly what is going to happen in the cartoon. But even if so, this episode still conveyed a terrible message. Plus, I'm almost sure this won't happen. I decided to stop calling the first 5 seasons the prequels. This joke only made sense when the 6th season was incomparably better than the first saga. That was quite a roller coaster. I didn't like the first saga, but the London special, the Paris special, and the first few episodes of the 6th season made such a good impression on me that I basically became a fan. I was glad that the series didn't promote any troubling messages anymore. And not just that, the season was literally helping me reflect on my past and Putin's regime.
Pour vous présenter mes excuses, j'ai changé et... Toi aussi, tu as été la victime de Chloé.
I find this relatable. And then the Noe episode. The Noe episode contributed to what probably was a depressive episode in me lasting over a month. In my previous video, I said that I needed an indication that the writers recognize that they messed up with regard to the messages of the earlier seasons. Recognizing mistakes is important for moving forward. And well, I shouldn't be all that surprised about messaging in the Noe episode. Though this doesn't change that I do not like how I worded my point when trying to complain about the messaging at the end of the 2nd season. I wrote a comment about that under my video about the previous saga. The series went to a hiatus. The Noe episode will become available in English on the 28th of February, and the series is expected to resume in March. You can consider like, comment and subscription to the channel. Goodbye everyone!